Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Reed's Reads Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Please check us out at the SpiderManCrawlspace.com. Well, everybody, I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season here as we get things. As this was recorded, of course, just the December 26th. So I hope everybody who celebrates Christmas had a wonderful Christmas. Those who are, of course, celebrating first day of Hanukkah, I hope you enjoy, as well as Kwanzaa coming up here, as well as for celebration, or the winter solstice. So I'm here with, of course, my last review, as I'm, of course, going to review Amazing Spider-Man 6D4 by Justina Ireland and Gleb on the latest part, of course, of the eight deaths of Spider-Man. So I'm, of course, one of the parts here and, of course, work on a review a little bit here to kick off the new year. So what did the wonderful, wonderful reviews of Amazing Spider-Man work for me today as I read it over the weekend? So I think we'll just go ahead and get on to the pros, everybody. So, first of all, I really did enjoy the actually beginning storylines. We also saw the conclusion, as you know, Spider-Man beat his last scion by actually setting a future message to himself here, and I really do like how Peter sets the message together. And believe it or not, a Dungeons and Dragons dice here to set it up as him go area. And Stephen actually, good old Doctor Strange says that actually was a very brilliant idea. Peter, I'm actually glad how you did this. I really do like how he kind of explains a little bit more how about how everything works. One thing Peter keeps saying too is, all these years he's done it, he's of course had these problems, of course, living and dying. And of course, I do like the explanation that Doctor Strange really explains, like, if you lose, we all lose. The world will be a problem, the Earth realm will be invention. This has been going on. That's about it. And that's why we created the eight reads, because if it wouldn't have been you, it would have been somebody else. And the fact is, you've always gone to it. And that really segues really nice into what's going on. Something else I really liked about this issue was the fact we actually find out there's actually more going on with Peter's current unemployment stats. Him and talking to Randy about his, of course, his earlier pictures, like when he fought the Sandman, which was against Alls, which was actually one of the first ones. Because the very first battle he ever lost when he was first Spider-Man was against Dr. Octopus. He didn't know how to beat him and he had to work on it. But the first time he actually had somebody that was more on his power matter, of course, was the Sandman. I do like the fact that how they're doing, because in a lot of media ages, nobody's really thought about this. Peter has done photography and early web design for so much. The fact that he did not get into actually art shows or actually graphics or share pinnacles, which are very popular right now, it's really good. And I do like the fact that Ireland actually kind of done this as a kind of source for income and actually dealing with Peter and Randy doing something instead of complaining about the rent or Randy's dating life. I think it was something nice. I also like the fact that Peter got proactive here when he went against the latest scion, which of course are twins, and having Callix, the older twin, get it, minute older, 2 minutes older. There's a joke in there, I know. But I do like the fact he actually came in and said, well, you know what? I see, I'm going to challenge you. And he's like, well, wait a minute. That's not how it's done. And then the sister, Siler, shows up like, actually, he can. We're just doing the old ways. He's more than allowed to, to challenge you first and get proactive. And I really like this because it also shows how Peter does. Of course, Callix doesn't write things like, oh, you're going to challenge me? Then fine. He backhands him. And I like the fact that he uses the Crimson Hounds, as he calls them, to kind of use them as kind of a part here by attacking innocent people. Because, him and Sire have been looking on the fact that, of course, that was how he was. He found, he's so simple. He worries about too much of the common man. Well, then I'll just break his spirits in doing that. And I like the fact that Peter then turns that on him and actually tricks him by actually taking away his main power, because he finds out Callix, as strong as he is, he just relies mostly on his Crimson Hounds. And I love the fact he does a binding spell joke on him, which he's like, wait a minute, that's not the binding spell. I was like, nope, that's actually Arceus, the one Pokemon and stuff, and actually beats him. It's such a cool thing that he actually not only learned from his previous times dying, that he actually beats Callix at his home game by taking away his power and using his ego. I really did like that. I think those were some of the best parts of the story. But with that said, everybody, what do we talk about for the cons here? Well, first of all, I think the biggest one here is also after what happened the last couple issues with, Aunt May and a couple things that basically him actually, trying to make it up for, buying groceries for Community Day. All is all loved and forgiven. Oh, my good old Peter, you did such a wonderful job. Thank you for just, saying I've been a jerk and I did forgives him completely out of that. And then you add in the fact that actually the conversation with Shay is also kind of a little bit of a problem on here too, because she basically says, "Has he always been like this?" And I just don't get it. I know he's had his play, but he's always distracting. And May basically says he's always been like this. I think most likely he's been more honest. He won't tell me why, but he's had a lot going on with his life, basically part. But it's also interesting to be the first night too, where he actually has a dating relationship. As much as we don't know where this is going to continue post Eight Deaths of Spider-Man, which right now with Joe Kelly taking over as the main writer, looks like Felicia is going to come back full time for Peter's love life. But I do like the fact she's questioning Wonder Woman. And actually, a normal relation is here, but at the same time, is Aunt May really doesn't give an explanation. Just says Peter's always kind of been like that, and it just hasn't worked very well. Doesn't bring up the fact that he was with somebody and she disappeared. The fact that he's gone through some trauma. The fact that he's lost his job. The fact that his uncle died, and he and her and him really handled it two different ways, which didn't help things, or how she was kind of set up to him get his life together. It's not done. And as much as it's a nice little thing to actually see, Shay actually asking and wanting to and actually talking to one she feels like she has a developing relationship with, since Randy isn't giving her more much, it's a nice change, but it just brings up so much of a kind of a half reason to, well, he's just always been like that. It's like the example of, well, why has nobody called out the fact that guy's a jerk and everything? Well, he's always been like that. We just let him be by himself. I mean, then all of a sudden it's like, well, why did that guy get punched out and get in the hospital? He's always been like that because he was a jerk and he just made the wrong person mad. It's not a good explanation. And I get the feeling, too, Justina's got some input more in Shay, since she's such a newer character interested and can do something kind of similar how Nick Spencer did stuff with Carly, but it doesn't work very well, especially with the conversation with May. Also, the fact that basically Peter's like, but why me? Why do we need to stop them? He's basically said, because if this falls, we all die. This is just a situation we did to rig it because they rigged it in their favor, as Syra tells Callix during the one off panel when they're observing Peter, that we don't have to do it. The trick is we have to do it. Meanwhile, Callix is more like, I want to make daddy happy and I'm the better brother. And when Syra's like, yes, but I've got to do to be a little smarter. Otherwise, our other siblings would not fall like this. And she even calls out the brother that he falled out. And I kind of like that. But even after people, there's a very little poison to that, because we actually found out Syra is, like I said, her power is the inability of death. Because as I say, what are the two things you can't avoid in life? Death and taxes. And she's basically saying we all die. And here Peter has died 3 times and come back to life. And here he actually beats Callix, but the fact is Cyrus coming and basically say, well, I'm just going to kill you and show you're always going to die as a part of it. It's an interesting take on it, but at the same time, it's the old classic poison chalice. It's like once you've won the victory, you've got the job, everything is good, and then they hand you the victory cup and you go to drink it. Oh, by the way, we're about 3 months from bankruptcy, and your department will probably be getting rid of in a year. So good luck to you trying to get everything back together before we fire you. That's basically what it feels like at the end. It's actually probably the strongest issue of this, so I actually enjoyed a lot of it. So I'm going to have to say, this is being such a good issue. I'm actually going to have to give this, believe it or not, a B minus. The artwork is really well done. I think things were done very well by Gleb Malcolm. It feels very classic Spider-Man with a nice little feel on here. And I feel like this was probably the strongest of the issue. I feel like Ireland really got a nice balance with the story, which she's actually built off the storyline. So she's been taking her notes great with Kelly and Meltzer as they move on to the next parts of the story. And I have to say, these have probably been the strongest out of the 4 issues right now for the storyline. So outside of placement and everything, it actually feels like there's a concrete story here, and it actually takes advantage of the plots that have been going on since the issue started. I feel like there's a nice flow to this. However, the whole little thing with May and all is forgiven to Shay's little thing, it feels kind of hollow. And the fact that Peter beats Calix's own game. Sarah basically comes up like, you thought you won. You're wrong. Screw you, Peter. You always going to have that Parker luck. So it was actually a pretty good issue, and I really kind of enjoyed that. So you know what? It was a really solid part for the storyline. So I will actually say it was pretty good on that. And with that, everybody, this is my last review for 2024. I hope everybody's having a wonderful time, and I hope the holiday season is treating you well, and that 2024 does end on a good year note for you. And 2025 brings your hopes and expectations to that. And on that note, everybody, I will see everybody in 2025. Have a wonderful